Let me ask you something. What would you do if the person you loved laughed in your face when you handed them a gift you poured your heart into? Not rolled her eyes. Not acted unimpressed. I mean, full-on laughed. Then said, "Wow, that's it. That's what my wife did." She laughed. At the hand-bound itinerary. At the cabin I'd saved for. At the 4-day escape from her constant complaints about needing a break. She said it looked cheap. That she expected at least something beachy. So, I left the envelope on the kitchen table. I crossed out her name. Wrote a new one. You know who? Her best friend. And here's the part one didn't expect. She packed in 10 minutes. I didn't expect her friend to say yes so quickly. I thought maybe she'd laugh too. Maybe call me out. Maybe tell Dina. But she didn't. She called me. That's right, not a text. A call. Within 10 minutes of reading the message. Her voice was low, cautious at first. Is this a joke? I said no. I told her I had a spare ticket. A cabin reservation. No strings, no weirdness. Just someone to share the silence with. Someone who wouldn't roll their eyes at sunsets and firewood. She didn't even hesitate. Send me the address. I'll pack. By the time Dina got home that evening, Tara's bag was already in my trunk. I wasn't trying to be cruel. Not really. I just couldn't take another half-smile. Another sarcastic at my effort. I had spent 2 years living inside that woman's cold shoulder, and I finally wanted to feel what warmth might be like again, even if it came from the one person she trusted. Dinner was tense. Dina scrolled through her phone the entire time. I asked if she'd thought more about the trip. She didn't even look up. "Lol," she said flatly. "I'm not 15. You can't impress me with a pine cabin and s'mores. That stuff is for people who think camping is therapy." I said nothing, just nodded. She didn't notice I'd set the table for 3. The next morning, I left before sunrise. Tara met me at a gas station off Route 5. No makeup, duffel bag, thermos of coffee she brought for both of us. I hadn't seen her like that before, stripped of the polished smiles she wore at parties and group dinners. She looked at me with this strange expression, not pity, not excitement. Just recognition. "You sure you want to do this?" she asked. I wasn't sure of anything, but I told her yes. And we drove. That drive was the first time in years I felt something other than pressure. We didn't talk much, and that was the beauty of it. No guilt, no critique, just long stretches of quiet roads and her humming faintly along with the radio. She didn't check her phone once. But the real shock wasn't the drive, or the cabin, or even the fact that I felt seen for the first time in forever. The real shock came on night 2, when Tara showed me a photo on her phone I never should have seen. A photo of Dina, with someone else. And from the timestamp, it was taken the same day I gave her the gift. I didn't want to look at her screen. I really didn't. We were sitting by the fire, actual logs, real crackling, and for the first time in what felt like a decade, I wasn't being ignored. Then Tara said quietly, "There's something you need to see, and I wasn't sure if I should show you." It was a photo. Her screen brightness was low, almost like she knew this would hit hard. The image wasn't blurry or questionable. It wasn't one of those vague things you could rationalize away. No, it was my wife, Dina, sitting on some rooftop bar I'd never seen, wearing the exact same red sweater she wore the night I gave her the handcrafted travel calendar. She wasn't alone. She had her hand on someone else's knee. Some guy with slicked back hair, designer sunglasses resting on his head, and a smile that said he knew he was winning something that wasn't his. Dina wasn't just smiling, she was glowing. Like the way she used to smile at me when we were still us. I asked Tara where the picture came from. She looked uncomfortable. "My cousin works at that place. She posted it on her story that night." I didn't want to get involved. I still don't. But it was too late. Something in my chest, call it delusion, hope, denial, cracked right down the center. Suddenly, Dina's coldness wasn't just emotional distance. It was emotional replacement. I wasn't plan B. I was a placeholder. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stared into the fire and whispered. So this is what she was doing while I was writing her letters on a calendar. Tara didn't speak for a long time. When she finally did, it wasn't what I expected. She said, "I didn't come with you to cause trouble, Lowell. I came because you were the only one left who remembered how to be decent." I laughed. Not a happy laugh. The kind of cracked laugh you make when you realize your life has been edited behind your back like a bad script. I wasn't sure what to feel anymore. Rage? Shame? Relief? Tara gently placed her phone face down. "You still want to go home tomorrow?" I shook my head. I don't think there's a home left. And right then, in the middle of nowhere, next to a woman who wasn't mine, staring into the fire I had built for someone who didn't want it, I made a decision. I was going to find out everything. I didn't sleep that night. I watched the fire die slowly, ember by ember, like watching the last warm pieces of my marriage fade into ash. Tara had gone to bed a while before, giving me space, maybe out of kindness or discomfort. Either way, I was alone, but not in the way I feared. There's a kind of clarity that comes when you have nothing left to defend. At around 3 a.m., I grabbed Dina's calendar, the one I had poured my soul into, and I started flipping through it, but not to feel nostalgic. I flipped through it like a detective. I needed to know where it all started to go wrong. Was it on day 12, when I planned a picnic in the park she used to love? Was it day 29, the hot springs I researched for hours? Or was it way earlier, way before the calendar, and I just didn't want to see it? The next morning, while Tara was making coffee, I asked her something I probably shouldn't have. How long have you known? She didn't act surprised, just set the mug down gently and said, since spring. I wasn't sure if it was real at first, but by June, it was obvious. That stung worse than the photo. Not because she knew, but because everyone else probably did too. And no one told me. I'd been walking around like a loyal fool while Dina curated a whole second life. Smiling for Instagram. Laughing at my meals. Turning down intimacy with, I'm just tired lately. I started digging. On the drive back, while Tara slept in the passenger seat, I opened Dina's shared photo albums. I checked metadata, geotags, old stories, and even Venmo transactions. I wish I could say I was shocked by what I found, but I wasn't. That's what betrayal does. It lowers your expectations until discovering proof just feels like confirmation. She hadn't just gone out that night with the man in the photo. His name, by the way, was Rylan. Of all names, she had been out with him at least 6 times in the past 2 months. Same bar, same rooftop, same stupid sunglasses on his head. And the captions she used? Girls' night, solo self-care, work thing. All lies. But here's what really broke me. One photo buried deep in her hidden album. Not on social media. Not public. Just for her. It was a selfie. She was sitting in our bedroom, wearing my hoodie, and lying next to her on the pillow, asleep, was him. After I saw that photo, her in my hoodie, in our bed, with him, something in my brain just disconnected. Not like a movie character yelling or flipping a table. I didn't throw my phone or cry or scream. I just sat there, car in park, engine humming, while Tara stepped out to grab coffee for both of us. She asked if I wanted anything. I said no. I didn't even look at her. All I could hear was static. Not in my ears, in my thoughts. Like someone tuned the frequency of my reality wrong. My wife had another man in my bed, wearing my clothes, looking more peaceful than I'd seen her in months. And all I could think was, how long has she hated me without saying it? I didn't go home that night. I drove past the exit. I didn't tell Tara where we were going. I just kept driving, deep into the city. The lights felt different. Too bright. Too fake. I parked on a street she never walks. I pulled out my laptop and connected to the Wi-Fi of a nearby bookstore. Then I started going through everything. Not just her photos now, but shared calendars, ride history, Wi-Fi connections, even security cam footage from our smart doorbell. The deeper I went, the more casual her betrayal looked. She wasn't hiding it like a guilty person. She was living it like a second skin. Rylan had been inside our house 5 separate times when I was working late. Once during a family funeral I drove to alone. Once on our anniversary, the night she told me she had food poisoning and went to bed early. I didn't sleep that night either. But I didn't go home. I didn't even feel like I had a home anymore. Instead, I checked into a motel. No bags, no explanation, just a digital key and a blank stare. Then something strange happened. Around 1 a.m., I saw her name pop up on my phone. Dina. First call in days. Just her name. No photo, no message. I didn't answer. She tried again. I let it ring again. Third time, voicemail. I waited. I pressed play. Her voice was soft. Too soft. She said, "Hey. Weird you're not home. I just got in. Didn't expect the place to be so empty. Just call me when you get this, okay?" She didn't sound angry. Or confused. She sounded nervous. Like she knew something was off. That was the first time I smiled in a long time. Because for the first time in this entire mess, she didn't know where I was. I got back home just after 5 a.m. The sky was that dull pre-sunrise gray, the kind that makes every house on the street look identical, like a simulation before it loads color. I didn't park in the driveway. I left the car a block away and walked the rest. Quietly, slowly, like someone rehearsing a break-in, except I had keys. I was still, technically, her husband. The door was locked, but I knew the top bolt stuck. Always had. You had to lift the handle a little to make it catch. She never remembered that. I stepped in without making a sound. The house was spotless. Too spotless. Kitchen counter wiped down, no coffee mugs, no leftover wine glasses. Like she'd scrubbed the guilt away. I looked at the fridge. No new groceries. Not even the usual oat milk she insists on. Her shoes were by the door, but not in their usual place. Like she took them off in a rush. I walked upstairs. My heartbeat was slow, steady. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't even angry anymore. That was the part that scared me. How calm I felt. Like I wasn't even in the story anymore, just watching it unfold from above. She was asleep. In our bed. Alone. Still wearing makeup. I just stood in the doorway for a long time, watching her chest rise and fall, listening to the fan buzz unevenly in the corner. She looked peaceful, not like someone caught or ashamed, more like someone who thought she still had time. I didn't wake her. Instead, I walked into the guest room, the one we hadn't used since her sister stayed over during a breakup. I took out my suitcase from the closet. I packed slowly, deliberately, just the things that were mine, just the things she hadn't touched. No notes, no speech, no confrontation. That would have given her too much. When I finished packing, I left my wedding ring on the kitchen table, on top of the linen wrap I'd originally used for the travel calendar she mocked. A circle on top of a square. No words. Right before I walked out, I did one more thing. I took her favorite throw blanket, the soft navy one she always claimed for movie nights, and folded it neatly over the arm of the couch. Why? I don't know. Maybe because I still wanted her to see something when she finally came downstairs. Something quiet. Something final. Something that said, I saw everything. I was here. And I left without asking for anything. She must have woken up late because her first call didn't come until afternoon. I let it ring, watched her name light up the screen, then disappear. Voicemail. Then a second call. Then a third. By the fourth, she finally left a message, her voice different this time. Sharper. Not emotional. Not even concerned. Just slightly panicked. Like someone realizing they lost something they didn't think could walk away. Lol. Okay, this is weird. Just call me, please. I don't know what this is supposed to be. I woke up and your stuff is gone. Are you trying to prove a point or something? Just talk to me. But I didn't want to talk anymore. It's incredible how much noise silence makes when someone's not used to it. I wasn't doing it to manipulate her. I just didn't owe her a reaction anymore. For once, she was the one waiting for a reply, refreshing the screen, wondering, guessing, exactly like I'd done for the last 2 years. By the sixth call, she didn't bother with calm. You're being childish. Seriously, we can talk like adults. Just come back and stop making this a bigger deal than it is. Than it is? She still didn't know what I knew. Or maybe she did, and this was her scrambling for control. Either way, I wasn't going back. I wasn't sleeping in sheets another man had shared. I wasn't going to open the fridge and pretend not to see the food he liked that she randomly started craving. Instead, I drove out to a small place I found online. A short-term rental 2 towns over, quiet, wooded, clean. The kind of place that didn't ask questions if your credit card cleared. I unpacked my bag, turned off my phone, sat in the unfamiliar bed and just existed. It wasn't peace. Not yet. But it was the absence of humiliation. And that was close enough for now. But the story wasn't over. Not even close. Because the next day, she didn't just call again. She showed up. And she wasn't alone. I was staring out the window when I saw her car pull up. She hadn't called this time. Just showed up unannounced, like she still assumed access. As if the silence was just another fight to be won. The car door opened. She stepped out. Hair perfect. Jacket loose over one shoulder. Then, to my complete lack of surprise, the passenger door opened too. And he stepped out. Rylan. He stayed by the car, arms crossed like some backup singer who didn't get the solo. She walked to the door alone. Knocked. Waited. Knocked again. I didn't move. She called out my name, lightly at first. Then louder. I watched her glance back at him, then back toward the door. I could feel her panic grow by the second. I didn't answer. She rang the bell. Knocked again. I watched her body language shift, first irritation, then confusion, then something close to fear. Because for the first time, she realized she couldn't predict what I'd do next. Her control didn't work anymore. I stood in the shadows of the hallway, just far enough back that she couldn't see through the frosted glass. She said, "Lowell, please. I just want to talk. You can be mad. I get it. But this isn't the way." But it was. It was exactly the way. I let her talk to the door for 2 full minutes. Then she stopped. No yelling. No crying. Just silence. And then she left. The car started. They pulled away. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. That night, I opened the windows in the rental. Let the cold air in. Put on music, my music, not the playlists we used to share. I made a simple dinner and actually tasted it. No second guessing. No compromise. I finally felt something I hadn't felt in years. Stillness. Not the kind that's empty. The kind that's earned. And maybe someday I'll fall in love again. Maybe not. But at least I'll never waste another calendar page on someone who smirks at the parts of me I used to be proud of.